Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of the Auto Experience series. Today we're experiencing a 1990 BMW 325i. The E30 series of BMW 3 Series. Usually thought of as one of the best examples of the run. The E30 was pretty famous because it was the first series that included an M3, so brought the M3 to the world. The rest is history, right? Before that, there was an E21. That was the first one, so technically we're in the second generation 3 Series from BMW. 325i also harkens back to a time when BMW's naming conventions meant something, mostly. So the 325i is a 3 Series with a 2.5 liter inline 6 or straight 6. Yes, BMW's bread and butter. The specs on that M20 straight 6 are 168 horsepower and about the same amount of torque, so right around 160 something. It's pretty stout numbers for a little 2.5 liter straight 6. Other sweet things that make the E30 325i such a sought after car are the fact that the curb weight is relatively light. I think it's going to be around 2,800 pounds. Haven't weighed this example yet. It's rear wheel drive. Duh, love that. And it's got a really good chassis balance. The weight balance is really good. We already talked about the low curb weight, but the balance is great too. Also, 4-wheel disc brakes. Don't count that out. In 1990 or the late 80s, that was still pretty cool to see. Mustang GTs were still running drums in the rear, so pretty awesome that a 3 Series got disc brakes all the way around. The E30 3 Series is amongst one of the best looking vehicles BMW ever crafted. It's got the iconic quad headlight front end with just the right size kidney grille. Not too big, not too small. It's got everything's boxy. We love boxy. There isn't too much rounded stuff going on here. If they could make the wheels boxy, I'm sure they would have done that too. But it's just a fantastic timeless design. The interior is great. I think the quality of the interior on the E30s versus the following E36s was of a higher grade. Also, the greenhouse is phenomenal, much in 80s and 90s fashion. You can see out of this car. There are no blind spots. The pillars are all relatively thin, crash test ratings, whatever. I can see where I'm going. I can prevent some crashes, right? But anyway, yeah, this is the one. This is the enthusiast one. These things got cheap for a while, being rear-wheel drive and relatively lightweight and having good chassis dynamics from the factory. When these things bottomed out, you could get a good one, decent one, a driver, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 back in the day. And what happened is they were grabbed up by enthusiasts, turned to track cars, drift cars, and we know how that story ends. So now we look at today's market. It's a weird market, I get it. I think I have to put that caveat in front of every car I talk about relative current values. But the E30 325i's, especially if you can find a 325is, good on you. That had some performance upgrades in the suspension department over the 325i. The prices on these have gotten pretty stout, especially clean examples. This particular one I'm driving right now, a one-owner vehicle with just over 126,000 miles on it. And it is all completely stock. It's had a lot of maintenance done. If you want to see all that maintenance, check out my series on this vehicle. But finding them in this condition, where they're in great shape, interior is very nice, exterior is very nice, all original, is an actual challenge today. And whenever that happens, we know how that goes. Scarcity drives value, right? So the prices on these have gone up exceptionally. How much are you looking to spend for a nice, clean 325i, especially with a manual, which is what it's sought after the most? I don't know, guys. Where do we get our foot in the door? $10,000 for one that needs some work, maybe a little rough around the edges. For really clean ones, one-owner examples that are in mint condition are fetching $20,000. And that sounds crazy, but hear me out. What you're buying is one of the most desirable 3 Series BMW ever made. A stout inline 6 power plant that's super reliable and puts out great power, a nice interior, great place to be. Very good performance handling out of the box, and maintenance wise, This isn't like a modern BMW. These are BMWs that were meant to be worked on, and they are. They're super approachable. Even a novice, do-it-yourselfer can do a lot of the standard maintenance that's required on this car. And it's not all sealed behind factory things where you need to have a factory scan tool to access, or, no way to read your oil level except for a digital print or digital readout. This is it. This is the sweet spot for me for BMW. You get a phenomenal straight six, which is what they're known for. You get a wonderful gearbox. You get great. I'm going down a mountain road right now, kind of half paying attention to talking and driving, and the chassis just doesn't care. Braking is good. Suspension dynamics are good. These are 30-year-old factory components. Yeah, I get it. The value is definitely a qualified value for these vehicles, especially given how many of these things were just destroyed. So if you're shopping, spend some good money, get the lowest mileage one you can get the most well taken care of with a good maintenance record, and drives nice, looks nice. Those are all indicators that the car was properly looked after. That's enough of me ranting. On to the objective tests. We've got the BMW 325i on the scales. Let's go ahead and get that curb weight and front and rear balance. At just over 2,700 pounds, the BMW 325i actually has a very low curb weight for a sedan, and this obviously factors into its handling dynamics. Also factoring into its handling dynamics is its amazing weight balance, with only 54% of the weight over the front and the remaining 46% over the rear. This is one balanced BMW. Full disclaimer, this specific car's suspension is all original and over 30 years old. That being said, I did find the ride quality of the 325i under normal driving conditions to be very compliant, with a little bit of leaning towards sport versus floaty, but never uncomfortably so. In the canyons, though, the E30 325i tightens up. The car's balance and low curb weight both pay dividends when the road gets windy. Steering is quick, the chassis reaction is predictable, and feel and feedback are clear. The front engine rear-wheel drive layout is executed perfectly here. Turn in, apply throttle at corner exit, smile, and then repeat. Driving the 325i, whether in a relaxing commute environment or spirited canyon run, is purely enjoyable. This is perfect chassis and handling execution. The E30 platform would still be highly successful and sought after, even if the exterior design fell short of its driving prowess and enjoyability. But that's not the case here. The exterior design of the E30 is near perfect. This is iconic BMW design flavor on full display. The quad headlight and perfectly sized kidney grille front end is instantly recognizable and still incredibly eye-catching. The blunted, low overhang front end with its lower valance and factory lip are just gorgeous to me. Bluntness is the theme here, continuing with the remainder of the vehicle as well.
All edges and lines are straight and sharp, angular goodness everywhere. The only round components of the design template are the epic fender flares, bulged out to allow the 14-inch factory bottle cap style wheels to be housed. The E30 is the perfect size for a small family sedan, and proportions couldn't be improved upon. This is my favorite BMW 3 Series model to date. If you're looking for an exciting interior in a German sedan from this period, well, that's not going to happen here. What the E30 325i interior does offer, though, is great quality materials and a very spacious layout. Unfortunately, these interiors weren't known to hold up exceptionally well to the ravages of time, with most of the dashes cracking and leather seats following suit. This, however, one owner example, was well cared for, and it reflects that. In comparison to the subsequent E36 generation, I actually do prefer the E30 interior. I think the quality is much higher. I also like the layout a lot more, and it does have a better cockpit, greater visibility also. Overall, I'd say it's simple and sturdy in here. In completely unsurprising news, BMW can manufacture a damn fine straight-six engine. The 325i happens to have one of these power plants. Running the show here is a 2.5-liter straight-six M20 engine that operates about as smoothly as a fine-tuned sewing machine, knitting up 168 horsepower and 164 pound-feet of torque. Power builds completely smoothly over the rev range and doesn't have any pronounced dips or surges. It's just a consistent wave of power. If smooth and relatively powerful aren't positive enough engine attributes for you, well, how about if I throw in reliability and easy to maintain? Is this a BMW? Reliable? I know, I get it. But the M20 is a very accessible power plant. And when exposed to regular routine maintenance, it will reward its owner with years and years of driving enjoyment. In the case of the 325i, get the manual. Always get the manual. The 5-speed Getrag unit in our car allows for very speedy shifts, with no grinds or pop-outs. Clutch engagement is also solid and allows for easy learning. Shift throws are actually fairly sharp as compared to other manual gearboxes from this era. Each gear shift slots in firmly, and there isn't much slop at all, even with the aged original shifter bushings. This gearbox pairs wonderfully with the smooth revving nature of the M20 engine and is a must-have option. Don't skip this one. To me, the BMW E30, especially the 325i, is truly BMW's ultimate driving machine. It's powered by a smooth and strong straight-six engine, BMW's bread and butter and calling card. It has the most iconic exterior design with its quad headlights and kidney grille front end. It drives incredibly well given its age. The chassis is dynamic and handles well. Curb weight is down. And front engine and rear wheel drive configurations are tried and true. Yes, the E30 M3 is the true icon, the performance pinnacle of this generation. But the 325i nearly gets you there. And for a seriously small fraction of that price. For now, anyway. The E30 is finally receiving the valuation it deserves, and prices are now reflecting that. After the bottom of the depreciation curve almost took all the nice examples out of existence, we are seeing the price increase of 325i's. Driving greatness coupled with accessible maintenance makes this a fantastic machine for ownership. Source your E30 325i now, before it ultimately drives out of reach.